Welcome back to our Efficient by Design Companion series. Today, we're diving into one of the most powerful and honestly elegant tools for designing away human error. And the best part? It works by tapping into something we're all experts at, our natural tendency to do nothing at all.
So, last time, we put on our detective hats, right? We talked about how, to solve recurring mistakes, you have to stop blaming people and start treating your system like a crime scene that needs investigating.
And that investigation almost always starts with this question. You know the feeling. That moment of pure bafflement when a really good, smart employee does something that makes absolutely no sense. It's a classic manager headache.
But with our new detective mindset, we completely flip that script. The employee isn't the suspect, they're just a witness to a crime being committed by a flawed system. Those recurring mistakes, they're the fingerprints the system leaves behind. So the real question isn't, why did they do that? It's why did the system let them do that? Okay, so how do we start fixing these flawed systems? Well, our first tool in the detective kit is beautifully simple. It works by harnessing one of the most powerful forces in human psychology, inertia. We're talking about the power of defaults. So what's a default? It's just the choice that gets made for you if you don't make a choice yourself. And it's so powerful because our brains are fundamentally lazy, in a good way. They're wired to take the path of least resistance to conserve energy. And we can use that natural laziness to our advantage.
And just how powerful are we talking? Well, let's look at a real-world case study where changing a single default setting is literally the difference between life and death for thousands of people. Okay, check this out. Compare the organ donation policies in Germany and Austria. In Germany, it's an opt-in system. You are not a donor unless you go out of your way to sign up. But in Austria, it's the total opposite. It's opt-out. You are automatically a donor unless you take action to remove yourself from the list. See the difference? The choice is there in both places, but the starting point is completely different. And the results? They are absolutely staggering. In opt-in countries, donation rates are usually less than 30%, but in opt-out countries like Austria, it's over 90%. Now, this isn't because Austrians are somehow more generous people. It's pure psychology. It's the awesome invisible power of the default. When given a choice, most people will simply do nothing. Okay, so that's a huge life-saving example, but how do we find the right places to use this in our own work? For that, we need a special tool, a kind of magnifying glass for our investigation, and that tool is called the decision diagnostic. This framework is like a magnifying glass for any broken process. Here's how it works. First, you pinpoint the desired action. What do we want people to do? Second, identify the current error. What are they actually doing? Third, uncover the cognitive failure. Why is their gut instinct leading them astray? Fourth, find the reference point. What's their starting assumption? And finally, you decide. Do we need to support their autopilot or disrupt it and make them think? Okay, if a default can have that kind of massive impact on a national level, just imagine what poorly designed defaults are doing inside your company right now. It's time to put our detective hats back on and apply this thinking to our phantom emergency case. We're not here to blame the user. We're here to investigate the crime scene, the system itself, and figure out why it's producing these bad results.
To really see how this works, let's dive into a real-world case. I like to call it the case of the phantom emergency. So, you've got this tech company, and they are drowning in priority 1 tickets. Their top engineers are constantly getting pulled off huge, important projects to deal with what they think is a crisis, only to find out it's something minor, like one person can't connect to a printer. The system was basically crying wolf, over and over, and absolutely everyone was feeling the pain.
Now, your first instinct here, and mine too, probably, is to blame the users, right? You think, are they just being dramatic? Are they trying to cut in line? But that's the wrong way to look at it. The real detective question here is, what is it about the system itself that makes crying wolf the most logical thing for a user to do?
So let's run our case through the diagnostic. 1, the desired action is that a user picks the correct priority level. 2, the current error is they just set everything to critical because they think it gets them faster service. 3 and 4 are linked. The cognitive failure comes from their reference point. From their perspective, their work has stopped. So to them, the problem feels critical. The system is just giving them a big red panic button without any context.
And bingo! There it is, the crucial finding. The system itself was the culprit. It was designed to fail because it was asking people a subjective question they could never answer objectively. It was basically asking, how urgent does this feel to you, instead of asking for facts. And of course, it always feels urgent when it's your problem.
The fix, once they saw this, was simple and just brilliant. It had two parts. First, they changed the default. All new tickets were now automatically set to a standard, non-emergency level. We know defaults stick, right? Second, they changed the question. They stopped asking about feelings, how urgent is this, and started asking for a fact, how many users are affected. This completely reframed the decision from a personal plea to an objective report.
And the result? Oh, it was incredible. This wasn't a slow, gradual improvement. It was like they flipped a switch. The number of false priority 1 emergencies dropped to almost zero, overnight. The engineers got their focus back. The real emergencies got the attention they needed, and the whole system started working with human nature instead of fighting it.
So, this isn't just a cool story about some tech company. Every single organization, I promise you, has processes that are being quietly destroyed by bad defaults. So the real question now is, how can you start being the detective in your own organization?
So here's your assignment. I want you to go find a high-volume process in your world and design a killer default for it. Step 1, identify the best default option, the choice that's the right one more than 95% of the time. Step 2, hide the noise. Get rid of confusing or rarely used options. Step 3, always add an escape hatch, a clear way for people to override the default when they really need to. And finally, Step 4, measure the impact. See how errors go down and how efficiency goes up.
Now, if this kind of thinking gets you as excited as it gets me and you really want to go deeper, you absolutely have to connect with the author of this whole framework, Joe Caccitolo. He's the expert who's been using these principles to fix real businesses for years.